There are some habits that could be keeping you broke. And here's the thing, you may not even realize that you are choosing these habits, but quietly in the background, they are draining your bank account.
If you don't know us, I'm Larry.
I'm Hope.
And we're from Under the Median, where practical frugality meets real life.
This is a look inside our real life. We were just having a conversation about habits that we did for a really long time and that kept us broke for a really long time. So we decided to come on camera in the studio and kind of share 10 of those different habits with you and how we broke free from those habits. So hopefully if you find some of those habits in your own life, you'll be able to recognize them and you'll be able to stop doing them. Now in this video, you're going to see Larry. Larry is calm, cool, collected, compassionate when we have conversations.
Well, some of the time. And you'll get to see Hope, who's very passionate and assertive.
Let's get to it.
The first one, and I have to say, I've been really guilty of this one myself, and that is instant gratification. You see something, you want it now, because it can meet specific needs or wants and desires that you have, and you think it can fill a void, and you're really going to enjoy having that item, and you don't want to wait for it. You don't even want to check and see if you can afford it or if it's in your budget. And this is something that I used to be like.
I, however, was always at the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Are you crazy? We can't buy something unless it's on sale. We have to have a coupon, a really, really good coupon. We got to stack all of those discounts. So I would adamantly refuse, sometimes to our detriment, to even consider replacing something until I had figured out that we had found the very best price for it. Now, as with always everything in our marriage, we found a nice middle ground. But we did it, guys, by planning ahead. And we did it by figuring out what the purchase price was going to be. Larry, who is absolutely positively brilliant at doing product research, would come to me and say, here's what's happening for my research. And I would say, all right, what's the price point? And then I would start researching where we could find discounts. So between the two of us, we managed to do things without feeling like we were immediately having to jump onto a bandwagon. Because a lot of times what happens, guys, let's just be honest. We hear about something, let's just say on Facebook, something comes across our feed and we're like, ooh, that looks interesting. And 10 minutes later, we're plunking down money on something that we hadn't even considered buying in the first place. Planning ahead and making sure that that's a purchase that you really, truly want to make. Habit number 2, not prioritizing. I get to do it, you guys. Not doing what? Prioritizing where your money goes. Larry and I have a great analogy. Treat your money like you do your teenage kids, all right? Before your teenager gets out the door, you ask them questions. Where are you going? Who you going to be with? When you coming back home? Exactly what's going on. Tell me what you're going to be doing. Treat your money like that. Where you going? What you paying for? Who you going to be with? When are you going to be back home? That's the stuff that you want to know, where your money goes out, where it comes in.
Unless you're tracking your money, you're going to be flying blind. You just won't have any reference point to know what you're doing. Habit number 3 is believing that poverty is your lot in life. Some people just fall into the I'm going to be in poverty and that's it. They just fall into that by the way that they think. And they give up even trying to move past that. But you're never going to be stuck unless you say you're stuck.
You have to remember that often the choices we make are really a result of what we are speaking out of our mouths. If you are constantly saying this budget will never work, I'll never be able to get ahead, I'm never going to be able to save money, I'm always going to be in debt, then all of those things will most likely continue to be true in your life.
Yep.
And we know because we faced it. 2 months after we got married, we were flat broke, in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and trying to dig coins out of the cushions of the couch to figure out how we were going to pay for things. Now, they didn't last very long because I looked Larry in the eye with my assertiveness and said, we're going to figure this out. Look, we are a team. We're 2 fairly smart, responsible adults, and we can figure out how to live within our means. And the other thing that we did is we absolutely positively refused to take no for an answer.
And the main problem that we had with taking coins out of our couch was that we just didn't have a very big couch.
There were not coins in the couch. But listen, for us, failure, the minute that we set our sights on that goal, failure was not an option.
That's right.
And that's why we always tell you guys, you are not stuck. You figure the problem from as many angles as you can. And when you run out of angles, you find some more angles and figure out what else you can do. But if you need some help, we have some for you. We have a free guide to reducing your expenses. Look, I walk you through 10 different areas of your budget, step-by-step instructions. There are checklists in there. The guide is free. We're going to make sure that there's a link in the video description. Habit number 4. Oh my gosh. Now, we have some things to say about this, guys, so listen up.
Yeah.
Not thinking ahead. Here's what happens. You get stuck in this rotation of not making it from one month to the next, or getting to the last 10 days of the month and there's hardly enough money to get you to the next month. And it is so hard to think beyond that cycle.
Yeah.
And so thinking 12 months down the road, good Lord, 12 years down the road, it feels like you literally can't do it because you're like, I'm just barely making ends meet. How am I supposed to think forward into the future? This is tough talk from hope. You don't get a pass. None of us gets a pass. We are all in the current economy together. We all have to figure out how we're going to make this work. We are very, very well aware. Remember, we have kids in their mid to late 20s, early 30s, and it's very difficult for them to feel like they get a raise, but it's never enough to keep ahead of, for instance, where housing prices are going. That absolutely is true. But we've also sat down and had tough conversations with our kids and said, let's work the solution. Let's not keep looking at the problem. Let's figure out, what are your options? What can you do to make this happen if the goal is to purchase your first home or to pay cash for a car?
Remember that not thinking ahead doesn't keep you from going ahead. If you're driving down the road, you're going to be down the road. That's all there is to it. Whether you've thought about where you're going as you're going down the road or not, you're on that drive. And that's the way life is. We're in this all the time, and things are going to happen down the road whether we like it or not. It's inevitable that our cars are going to wear out, our washer and dryer is going to wear out, we're going to need a new roof, a new HVAC system in our home eventually. There are just things that automatically, deliberately, and expectedly come up on us, and we have to plan for all of those. As we plan and we get ready, then they come upon us and we're ready to deal with them. It's a much more secure place to be.
And if you are heavily invested in Larry's car analogies, as I am, that alone, guys, is worth giving this video a thumbs up. Make sure you give it a like.
Habit number 5 is assuming that your income will grow. You know, Hope and I had this happen to us when we were in the market for purchasing a home. Our realtor came to us with a home more expensive than we really could afford and said, well, you can afford this down the road because your income will increase. And that's a bad thing to think of. First off, even if your income does increase, what about the economy? How much is it increasing? How much are expenses and prices at the store and even gas prices increasing? And I think if you look at it really carefully, you might even see that those things might be increasing faster than your income. So that's a very bad way to think about things.
I remember the bank rep looked at me and said, this is what we'll loan you. And Bean is just... stuff just comes out of my mouth, guys. It just does.
It sure does.
And I looked at her and I said, really? I wouldn't loan me that much money. So they didn't. I was like, I don't think so. All right, habit number 6, comparing yourself to others. We've done this a fair amount of times, believe it or not, especially when it is people that we really felt like we wanted to have their respect. Look, if people don't respect you with the amount of money you have or the amount of belongings you have, they're not going to respect you anymore if you do have more money or more belongings. That is the sad truth. You cannot buy things that you can't afford to impress people that just really don't care.
Well, you can't buy respect.
Yeah.
And to try to impress other people, they don't probably really care about what you own. What they do care about is what they own. That's what it really gets down to. Buying to cope. This is using money kind of as a solution when you have little problems that you need to resolve. For instance, are you happy?
Buy something.
Are you sad?
Buy something.
Do you feel down and guilty?
Push that buy button and do it aggressively.
Are you frustrated?
Then buy it really aggressively.
You get the point? We oftentimes use money as a solution because it does make us feel better to purchase a new item, but it may only make us feel better for a short period of time. And that newness wears off and that item gets older, and then you have to end up spending more money on it to repair it or fix it, or it just loses that luster. So purchasing new items to try to solve a problem is not a good way to handle problems.
You have to remember the maximum amount of happiness from anything that you buy on credit is 30 days, because after 30 days, the credit card bill is coming and
Yes.
you will no longer be terribly happy with that decision.
Hope, the research master, has a few things to tell you that she's found out.
But credit cards, we just talked credit cards. Credit card debt in the United States of America this last quarter, $1.2 trillion. Almost 50% of the people with credit card debt only make the minimum payments, and therefore they are accruing, what is it? Interest, absolutely. And in 2022 alone, we're not talking interest payments, we're talking late fees. In 2022 in the US, credit card late fees, ready? $14.5 billion with a B dollars.
Wow, don't use credit cards. That's just a way of throwing your money away. Habit number 8 is refusing to consider alternatives. You know, we get kind of stuck in a pattern of how we do things, and we get really resistant to making any changes that would actually help us.
Okay, here's an example. People who absolutely adamantly refuse to buy anything secondhand. Some people are like, nope, not going to do it.
People that refuse to use coupons or maybe even wait for an item to go on sale. They just want to buy something, pay full price, and they're really not considering what they're paying for the item. They just want the item.
I think at its heart, like people, and tell us what you think in the comment section. Some of the reasons that people don't consider alternatives because they feel like it's a second-class citizen thing, like they feel like it's something that is beneath them,
Yeah.
or they feel like they're losing, like only losers do X, Y, Z, or only poor people do X, Y, Z. You know, interesting because the book, Millionaire Next Door, I've read that just a couple of times. And one of the statistics in Millionaire Next Door is the number of millionaires who actually, at that time, clip coupons, because it's a little bit of an older book, physical coupons. But now, of course, we clip them digitally. It is a huge percentage of millionaires who still clip coupons. Why? Because they became a millionaire by knowing the value of a dollar.
Yes, they became a millionaire by making their money go as far as is possible. And that's looking for the best possible buys, paying the least amount that you have to pay. And it takes a little extra work to do it. It causes you to have to build habits. You have to build habits in your life of doing these things. Once you build up these habits, then they become automatic to you.
All right, point number 9, and this sounds a little bit like point number 8, but hang in there with us because it's not. Being inflexible. Okay, we just gave you an example perhaps of inflexibility, but there's a lot of other examples of inflexibility. This sort of inflexibility we mean when you set a budget or you set a goal and you decide, I'm not budging. I'm not doing it any differently. I'm not changing the goal. I'm not moving the goal date out. And you stick to it stringently, even though clearly it's not working. And we've mentioned this before, we have budget meetings Sunday nights. Sunday nights, we have our Sunday night budget meeting.
Yeah.
And we talk about how the week went. We look at the week coming up. What kind of money are we going to need to spend in the week coming up? How did we spend our dollars? Are we happy with that? Do we need to do what? Change anything for the following week. You have to be willing to flex on your goals and on your budget if you're going to move forward.
Because the way that we spend money changes over time. It might be that the price to do something on your car now costs more money because the cost has just gone up, and car prices have gone way up from what they used to be. So we're always in a state of change. So we have to keep our budget changing along with that in order to make it work. So this isn't just changing things for your own convenience. This is changing things to make things work as prices increase.
Such an interesting thing to me. So when our oldest son was in college, and he had gotten a very large scholarship, so he got a full tuition scholarship. So he was just working to pay for room and board and books, things like that. We paid for books, so I guess he was just paying for room and board. And he would look at his bank account and say, "Okay, what do you think, Mom?" And I said, "Well, let's just get it down on paper. We've got plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D." And literally we planned them out, because what that did is it let him sleep at night knowing, all right, I got a lot of options here.
Yes.
And if plan A isn't working, guess what we're going to do? We're going to go to plan B. And just recently, he and his wife were talking to us about purchasing a home. I'm like, "So what's your plan?" He goes, "Well, plan A is this, plan B is this." And I'm like, oh my gosh. So those kind of lessons stick around. But I guess my point is that once you kind of get into the habit of doing this, the whole idea of flexing doesn't seem like it's, oh, I'm backing down from something I said I was going to do.
Right.
Or, oh, I have failed at this goal. You haven't. You're just flexing according to the circumstances and what's working and what's not. Because if you continue doing what's not working, that's not going to help anybody.
Habit number 10, and I think really this is a pretty big one, and that's ignoring the system. Now, you have to put systems in place in order to make your savings plan work. If you think you can save just by willpower alone, willpower comes and goes. It doesn't stick with you. But if you have a solid, rock solid system in place, then you can stick with that system. A system means you know exactly how you're going to get from point A to point B, because you have guidelines that get you all the way through. Stick to those guidelines and they'll get you where you want to be.
One of the things we did immediately when we found out we were flat broke, when we were newly married, is we started putting systems in place.
Yeah.
They were like rinse and repeat systems that we did over and over and over again that helped us to live within our budget and helped us to slowly accrue some net worth. Now, if you'd like a look at what some of those early systems looked like for us, we did a whole video on how we saved money even living on a low income. I think you'll find that helpful to watch next. And it's right over there.